Ever bought a budget gaming laptop that promised smooth 1080p frames and then spent the whole night watching the fan spin like a ceiling fan? I've seen enough of those regrets to know that the cheap route usually ends up costing you more in lost time and extra cooling pads. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, because I want to see if the NIMO light gaming laptop actually feels like a smarter buy. When you're standing in the aisle, the price tags are screaming good enough for the price, but the reality of a gaming rig is a lot more nuanced. You're not just looking for a machine that can launch a game, you need it to stay cool during a 90-minute raid, keep the speakers from sounding like a tin can, and still have enough juice to get you through a coffee break between classes. That tension between performance and portability is why many first-time buyers stall should they splurge on a desktop, settle for a thin ultrabook, or gamble on a mid-range laptop that might turn into a paperweight after a month of heavy use. The NIMO light gaming laptop tries to land in that sweet spot. It's powered by AMD's Ryzen 7 7735HS, which, on paper, outpaces the Intel i7-12650H that you'll find in a lot of competing 15-inch machines. In my own tests, the chip held up its end of the bargain during a 3-hour session of Shadow of the Tomb Raider at high settings. Frame rates hovered in the low mid-40s, which isn't buttery smooth, but it's stable enough that the game never feels like it's choking. What mattered most was how the laptop handled the heat. The built-in vapor chamber and a dual-fan setup kept the CPU temperature in the mid-80s Celsius under load, noticeably cooler than some of the cheaper laptops I've owned, which would spike into the 90s and throttle within minutes. The trade-off is audible fan whirring. You'll hear a low hum that ramps up when the GPU, a Radeon 680M, pushes past 75% load. In a quiet dorm room that can be a bit distracting, but it's not the kind of grinding noise that makes you want to yank the power cord. Keyboard feel is another real-world factor that reviewers often skip over. The NIMO's backlit keys have a modest travel distance, about 1.5 mm, that feels more like a laptop designed for typing than for a fast-paced shooter. The keys are spaced comfortably, and the inclusion of a fingerprint sensor adds a quick-login convenience that actually speeds up those morning study sessions. I did notice a slight wobble on the left-hand side when I hit the Shift key hard, but it never affected my gameplay or my note-taking. The overall typing experience is solid for someone who alternates between code editors and combat menus. Battery life is where most gaming laptops draw a line in the sand, and the NIMO is no exception. With a 56Wh cell, you can expect roughly 3 to 4 hours of mixed-use, some streaming, a bit of browsing, and a short gaming stint at low settings. If you plan to run Cyberpunk 2077 at medium graphics for an hour, the battery will dip below 20% in under an hour. That's why I always keep the 100W power delivery charger handy. The good news is the charger itself is compact enough to slip into a backpack, and the laptop's USB-C port supports fast charging, so you can get back to 80% in about an hour. For a student who needs to move between lecture halls, the trade-off feels reasonable, as long as you're okay with plugging in for serious gaming sessions. Display quality is often a make-you-break point for portable gamers. The 15.6-inch FHD panel on the NIMO hits 144 Hz, which is a step up from the 60 Hz panels that still populate the budget segment. The higher refresh rate smooths out motion in fast shooters like Valorant, and the screen's color gamut is decent for everyday media consumption. However, the panel's peak brightness caps around 300 nits, so in a sunlit caf the image can look washed out. If you're a content creator who relies on accurate color reproduction, you might want to pair this laptop with an external monitor. For pure gaming on the go, the refresh rate and response time are more valuable than lab-grade color accuracy. Portability is a mixed bag. The chassis is built from a magnesium aluminum alloy that feels sturdy without being overly heavy. It tips the scales at about 2.3 kilograms 5 pounds. That's